I was placing the last ornament on my Christmas tree when the voice message came in. I pressed play without thinking. My daughter's voice hit me like a slap. "Mom, you're not coming. Connor doesn't want you at our Christmas." That was the entire message. No greeting, no explanation, no hesitation. I didn't move. My hand stayed on the ornament, the lights blinking against my skin. The house was quiet. Too quiet for a message like that. I lowered my hand slowly and stared at the phone. She didn't even say please. She didn't sound torn. She just delivered information, like I was a package being rerouted. I pressed the phone to my palm. My voice was steady when I whispered to the empty room. "So that's how it is." I walked to the table where my receipts were still spread out. The ink on the last one, the final payment on their new house, was barely dry. I had signed it that morning, thinking I was securing their future. I picked up the paper. It felt heavier than it should. I had paid off the deposit. I had helped with their furniture. I had covered the inspection fees. I hadn't expected gratitude every day, but I never expected a dismissal this clean. I set the paper down and hit play again, not because I needed clarity, but because tone reveals truth. "Mom, you're not coming. Connor doesn't want you at our Christmas." Her voice didn't shake. It didn't sound forced. It sounded practiced. I sank into the chair. My mug of hot cocoa sat untouched beside me. I looked at the lights on the tree. They reflected faintly in my eyes as I inhaled slowly. I didn't cry. I didn't call her back. I didn't ask why. I let the silence settle. My daughter had chosen convenience over connection. She had chosen his comfort over my presence. And she had chosen to speak those words on the same day I finalized the biggest financial gift I had ever given her. The timing wasn't an accident. It was permission. Permission for me to see the truth without excuses. The phone buzzed again. Another message. "Mom, it's better if you don't come. Please don't ask me to explain." This time, she sounded tired. Not guilty. Just tired. Like I was a task she wanted to finish. I looked at the message, then at the tree, then at the folder of payments. 10 years of helping them quietly, 10 years of stepping in, 10 years of believing things would warm up eventually. And now, one line erased every effort. I stood up and walked to the window. Snow was piling along the railing outside. The cold pressed lightly through the glass. My fingers tapped once against the window frame. I spoke out loud, slow and controlled. "You don't want me there." Noted. I turned away from the window. My decision didn't come from anger. It didn't come from hurt. It came from clarity. Clean, sharp clarity. If I was not welcome, then neither was my support. My phone rang. Isabella's name flashed across the screen. I let it ring until it stopped. A new text arrived. "Mom, don't make this difficult. Connor just wants a quiet Christmas. Let's talk later." A quiet Christmas. I almost smiled. They wanted a quiet Christmas, but they never noticed how quietly I had been holding everything together for years. I picked up the mug of cocoa at last. The warmth steadied me. I took one sip, then set it down and spoke softly to the empty room, the tree lights blinking behind me. "All right, Isabella. You've made your decision." I pressed my thumb to the power button on my phone and turned the screen dark. The house felt still, but not empty. Not this time. For the first time in years, I felt something settle inside me, something firm and calm. I looked at the stack of receipts again. "You don't want me," I murmured, "but you want everything I provide." The difference was suddenly clear. I walked back to the tree, touched one of the ornaments she made in kindergarten, and let my hand fall to my side. "Christmas without me," I said quietly, "means without my help too." The room didn't echo. It didn't need to. I reached for my laptop. My movements were steady, precise. There was nothing to reconsider, nothing to debate, nothing to negotiate. They had sent a message, and I was about to send mine. I woke up early the next morning with a heaviness that felt familiar. Not the kind that destroys you, the kind that reminds you this isn't the first time you've been disappointed. I walked to the kitchen, turned on the light, and saw the stack of receipts still sitting on my table. 10 years of help, 10 years of excuses, 10 years of watching my daughter slip further away from me. I sat down and pulled the first receipt off the pile. A rent payment from years ago. Isabella had called late at night. "Mom, we're short this month. Connor says he'll fix things soon. Can you help us this time?" I remembered my answer. "I'll transfer it tonight." She didn't thank me. She just sighed with relief. I placed the receipt aside and grabbed the next one. A mechanic bill. I could still hear her voice. "Mom, the car won't start. Connor says the warranty expired. I can't miss work. Can you?" I showed up at the garage before she did. I paid before she finished explaining. She hugged me quickly and left. Not a word after that day. Then came the utility bills. Winter, cold, a shut-off notice. "Mom, we didn't know it was overdue. Can you cover it just this time?" Just this time. It was always just this time. I stared at the pile. Every sheet looked the same. Different dates, same story. I whispered, "You never stopped asking." And I never said no. I reached for the furniture invoice. I remembered that day perfectly. Isabella running her hand along the dining table she wanted. "Mom, this one is better, more stable." Connor stood behind her, nodding like a proud expert. "It's the practical choice," he said. Practical for who? I paid for it while he scrolled through his phone. I kept flipping through the papers. Dentist bill, car insurance, emergency plumbing repair, groceries, even their internet once, because Connor forgot. Every time she called, I answered. Every time she needed money, I wired it. I told myself I was helping her build a better life. I didn't realize I was carrying a life she refused to build herself. I leaned back in my chair. The kitchen was quiet. The only sound was the hum of the refrigerator. I opened an old photo album. Isabella in her cap and gown, me standing beside her, holding her diploma like I had earned it too. Her smile was real then. Her eyes were softer. I whispered, "Where did that girl go?" Back then, she didn't look over her shoulder to see if Connor approved her words. She didn't filter herself. She didn't apologize for having her own opinions. I closed the album and took a slow breath. Last Christmas came back to me. I remembered walking into her house with cookies and gifts. Connor stared at me the entire evening. Isabella hugged me quickly, then pulled away the moment he stepped closer. He said, "We want a simple Christmas this year, nothing big." I replied, "I just wanted to spend time together." He didn't answer. He didn't need to. Isabella was already watching him for direction. When I left, she didn't walk me out. She just waved. That was the night I understood something I didn't want to believe. She wasn't living with him. She was living under him. I picked up another receipt. A dentist emergency. Isabella had called whispered, almost ashamed. "Connor thinks we should wait until payday." "You're in pain," I said. "Get your coat." She let me take her. She let me pay. She let me comfort her. But the next day, silence. I flipped the paper over. I had written a note on the back, years ago. "She slept on the couch last week." She told me that quietly, staring at her hands. "We argued," she said. "He was upset I questioned something." I didn't push. She didn't explain. But the bruise near her shoulder told its own story. I set the paper down and looked at the pile again. I could see the pattern finally. Not as a mother, but as a woman who had lived long enough to recognize unhealthy dependence. I wasn't helping them. I was replacing responsibility, and they had gotten comfortable with it. I stood up and walked to the window. Snow was starting to fall again, tiny flakes landing softly on the glass. 10 years, I said quietly. 10 years of pretending everything was fine. I went back to the table and opened the email on my laptop. The same email reminder I had seen hundreds of times. Upcoming automatic payment. Mortgage. I stared at it for a long moment. My heartbeat didn't speed up. My palms didn't sweat. Instead, something calmer settled inside me. A simple truth. "If they can tell me not to show up for Christmas," I whispered, "they can learn to show up for their own bills." I glanced at the receipts again. Thousands of dollars. Thousands of moments I had stepped in so they didn't have to. And last night, Isabella didn't hesitate to push me out because Connor wanted it. I sat down and let the clarity sink even deeper. She didn't send me away because she didn't love me. She sent me away because she didn't value me. There's a difference. And the difference matters. I folded the receipts neatly and placed them back in the folder. I raised you with everything I had, I said softly. But I can't raise your marriage for you. My phone vibrated again. A notification for the mortgage draft. It ends today, I whispered. The years of quiet hurt had built a wall I could no longer step over. I woke up before sunrise and sat on the edge of my bed. The house was quiet. My phone was still turned off. I didn't rush to check it. I didn't need to. I knew exactly what was waiting. Missed calls, long messages, explanations that meant nothing. I walked to the kitchen, poured myself a glass of water, and stood there for a long moment. The decision I had to make wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It came in clean and simple. I wasn't going to call her back. I wasn't going to ask why. I wasn't going to negotiate my place in her life. I turned my phone on. The screen lit up instantly. 17 missed calls, messages, voicemails, all from Isabella. I clicked none of them. Instead, I opened my email. The mortgage draft was scheduled for the next morning. The amount was large enough to make anyone sweat, anyone except the people who had gotten used to me catching them before they hit the ground. I stared at the screen. My finger hovered over the automatic payment settings. For the first time in 10 years, my hand didn't shake. I whispered, "If I'm not part of your home, I won't pay for it." I moved the cursor. Edit automatic payment. A small window popped up. Deactivate? I pressed yes. The confirmation page loaded slowly, like it wanted to make sure I had time to reconsider. But there was nothing to reconsider. I pressed confirm. One click, 10 years undone. I exhaled once, steady and calm. No regret, no guilt, just clarity. I moved on to the utilities next. Water, electric, gas, internet. All in my name. All because they said it was easier that way. Easier for them, not for me. I opened each account one by one. Click, remove autopay. Click, transfer responsibility. Click, confirm. I kept going until every tab showed the same words. Payment responsibility transferred. Autopay removed. Account holder updated. When I finished, I pushed the laptop away and rubbed my palms together. My living room felt different, lighter, like I had finally stepped out of a room I didn't belong in. My phone buzzed. A message from Isabella. "Mom, can we talk? Please don't ignore me." I didn't respond. I didn't even open it. I wasn't ignoring her. I was respecting the boundary she set. She said her husband didn't want me there. She said I shouldn't come. She said it was better this way. So I was giving her exactly what she asked for. Distance. Another message came in almost immediately. "Mom, I didn't mean it like that. Can we figure this out? Connor is stressed." I shook my head slowly. I spoke to the empty room. "Your choices have consequences. So do mine." The kettle clicked as it finished heating the water. I poured myself tea and carried the cup to the living room. The Christmas tree lights blinked softly. I sat down on the couch and watched the snow drift outside. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel bitter. I felt awake. My phone rang again. I let it ring. Then another message. "Mom, please, at least call me back." I set the phone face down. My silence wasn't punishment. It was protection. For me. For my peace. For the part of me that had shrunk a little more every time I paid a bill she refused to look at. I sipped my tea and whispered, "If you want me gone, I can be gone." Not loud, not cruel, just true. I opened my notebook and wrote one line. "Today, I stop saving people who don't want me." I closed it gently. My decision was simple. No confrontation, no fight, no tears, just silence. And the end of a role I should never have carried alone. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open. The list of accounts filled the screen like a map of every place I had stepped in for Isabella and Connor. Mortgage, water, electric, gas, internet, insurance, trash service. Even their streaming subscription once, because Connor said his card was acting up. This wasn't a cut. This was surgery. I clicked the mortgage first. Deactivate autopay? Yes. A confirmation email arrived instantly. Your automatic payment has been canceled. I didn't blink. Next was the electric bill. Click. Remove card. Click. Assign to Isabella's name. Click. Confirm. Another email buzzed. Payment method removed. Then water. Then gas. Then the internet. My screen kept flashing the same message. Action completed. I wasn't angry. I was focused. Every click was calm and clean. For 10 years I had held their life together without asking for a single thing in return. And last night, my daughter told me to stay away because her husband wanted a quiet Christmas. They wanted quiet? They were about to get quiet. I stopped when I reached the insurance page. Car insurance. I had covered 6 months for them last year. Connor had said it was a temporary setback. He always had setbacks. Isabella always apologized for them. I always paid. Not anymore. I selected remove card. Confirm. Another email buzzed. The pile of receipts next to my laptop felt different now. Not heavy. Honest. My phone buzzed on the counter. I didn't check it. I knew it was Isabella. She always called more when she needed something than when she loved someone. I opened a new tab, the trash service account. They had put it in my name because the website was confusing. I smiled to myself as I typed. Click. Remove card. Click. Transfer service. Click. Completed. I leaned back for 1 moment and rubbed my thumb against my palm. No hesitation, no second thoughts. My phone buzzed again. A message from Isabella appeared on the lock screen. Mom, please answer. Something's wrong with our electric account. It says the payment info is missing. I didn't open it. I clicked into the gas account. Same steps. Remove, transfer, confirm. Another message popped up. Mom, it says the water bill is overdue. Did the system glitch? Can you check from your side? I closed the laptop for a moment and picked up my mug of cocoa. I took 1 slow sip, then set it down. A third message arrived. Mom, please call me. Connor is upset. Everything is going wrong all at once. I whispered, It's not all at once. It's just everything you never handled. I reopened the laptop and clicked the last tab, Utilities Binder Backup, a folder I kept for emergencies. I downloaded everything into a new folder labeled Documentation. I saved every cancellation receipt, every transfer confirmation, every screen grab, not to hurt her, to protect myself from the story they would tell when their world collapsed. My phone rang. I let it ring. Then a voicemail, then another, then a text. Mom, are you doing this? Please tell me you're not doing this. I stared at the screen. My silence spoke louder than any argument she expected. Another text came quickly. Connor is furious. He says this is your way of manipulating us. Manipulating them? After a decade of carrying them on my back? I whispered. No. This is me stepping out of the way. I stood up, walked to the kettle, and refilled my cup. The sound of water boiling was the only noise in the house. When I came back, my phone buzzed again. Mom, what are we supposed to do? These bills are huge. We don't have this kind of money right now. I placed the phone face down. I wasn't cruel. I wasn't punishing her. I was ending the role she forced me into, the role she dismissed the moment Connor snapped his fingers. My laptop chimed with one last email. The mortgage company, your payment authorization has been removed. Future payments must be made by the primary residence. Good. I shut the laptop and wiped the table clean. The room felt plain but steady. Another message came in. Mom, if this is about last night, I didn't mean to hurt you. Connor just wanted space. Please don't do this. We're begging you. Begging. They only begged when they were cornered. I picked up the phone, unlocked it, and typed 2 words. I understand. Then I put it down again. No explanation, no comfort, no apology, just acknowledgement. If she didn't want me at her Christmas table, she wasn't entitled to my bank account. I walked to the window and watched the snow falling outside. Everything looked peaceful, quiet. This was the clean break I should have made years ago. Supporting someone who refuses to stand on their own isn't love, it's slow drowning. And I was finally stepping out of the water. My phone buzzed again, harder this time. Then again. 3 calls from Connor, 1 from Isabella, all unanswered. I whispered, "You wanted independence, here it is." I turned the phone off and placed it gently on the table. The full cutoff was complete. I woke up the next morning knowing exactly what was coming. People respond quickly when money disappears, especially people who depended on it without admitting they depended on it. I made my tea, opened the curtains, and watched the snow covering the yard. It was quiet outside, the kind of quiet that comes right before something breaks. I sat down on my couch with my tea. My phone was still turned off. I wasn't in a rush to turn it on. Peace has a sound, and it was the only sound I wanted for a few more minutes. After a long sip, I finally pressed the power button. The screen lit up like a fire. 32 missed calls, 18 voicemails, more messages than I cared to count, all from Isabella and Connor. I didn't open anything. I let the notifications stack at the top of the screen. I knew what they said before reading a word. I stood up, walked to the kitchen, and put my mug in the sink. The phone buzzed again, then again, then again. The storm had started. I sat back down and whispered, "Let it come." The first message preview appeared. "Mom, something is wrong with the mortgage website." "Did you change something?" I didn't respond. Another one came immediately. "Mom, the electric bill says account holder updated. Why would it say that?" Then another. "Water bill just sent us a warning email. What's happening? Please call." I turned the phone face down. I walked to the window again. Snow falling. Street empty. My breath calm. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel cruel. I felt free. The phone buzzed again. "Mom, Connor is upset. He says the gas bill was declined. I don't understand. Can you check on your end?" I said softly. "There is no my end anymore." I sat back on the couch and picked up my notebook. I wrote one sentence. "I respond when I choose, not when I'm needed." The phone buzzed harder this time. A call. I let it ring out. Another call. Then another. Then a voicemail came in. I put it on speaker but didn't say anything. Isabella's voice was shaky. "Mom, everything is shut off. I don't know what's going on. Please answer me, please." I turned the volume down and breathed slowly. It hurt hearing her panic, but not enough to undo my decision. A second voicemail arrived right after. "Mom, Connor is angry. He says you're doing this to punish us. He says this is emotional abuse. Why are you doing this?" I whispered. "You told me not to come. You made your choice." I didn't touch the phone again. I walked to the kitchen, opened the window, and let the cold air in for a moment. It felt clean. Another message buzzed behind me. "Mom, we can't afford all these payments at once. You know that. Why would you do this right before Christmas?" Right before Christmas? They told me to stay away. They told me I wasn't wanted. And now Christmas mattered again? I closed the window and wiped my hands on a towel. The phone buzzed nonstop now. A mix of Isabella's panic and Connor's anger. "Connor, put the payments back. This is insane. You're ruining our holiday. This is your responsibility. Fix it." My jaw tightened at the last one. My responsibility? I sat down again and whispered, "You're grown adults. Pay your own bills." My phone buzzed again. Isabella. "Mom, please pick up. I'm scared. Everything is in our name now. We don't have enough money." I put a pillow behind my back and watched the snow falling outside. Her fear wasn't new, but it was the first time she wasn't using mine to cushion it. I said quietly, "This is what independence looks like." The phone rang again.
I let it ring out. After a moment, a new message popped up. The tone changed. "Mom, if this is about Christmas, we can talk about it. Maybe you can come. We can figure something out." I closed my eyes. "Now you want me there," I whispered. "Not because you miss me, because you miss what I pay for."
I stood up and walked to the back of the house. I opened the door to the small storage room where I kept my woodworking supplies. The smell of wood and varnish grounded me. I pulled out a small box of sandpaper and held it in my hands. I had neglected my hobbies for years because every crisis she had became my emergency. Not anymore. I placed the box on the workbench and returned to the living room. The phone buzzed again. Another voicemail. This time from Connor. "Listen," he said, voice clipped. "You need to stop whatever you're doing. Isabella is crying. The baby bills are stacking. You knew we were counting on those payments. Why would you cut everything without warning? This is childish." Childish. He used that word on the wrong mother. I said softly, "I raised a daughter. I'm not raising a grown man." My phone buzzed again, faster this time. A string of texts came in all at once. "Mom, please. Everything is overdue now. I can't fix all this by myself. Connor is yelling." "Please answer. Please." I sat down, picked up my mug of tea, and held it between my palms. The warmth settled into my fingers. I took a slow sip. For the first time in years, I didn't feel responsible for the mess. They built it. They ignored every warning. They treated my help like something they were entitled to. And now the storm they created was finally theirs to weather. I turned the phone face up again and spoke to the empty room. "You didn't want me in your home. Now you get to live without the parts of me you used." I placed the phone down. I didn't block them. I didn't answer them. I didn't soothe them. I just waited. And I was finally on the outside of it, watching it hit the people who caused it. My phone exploded the moment I set it on the table. Calls, messages, voicemails, all stacking faster than the snow falling outside. I didn't pick up. Not yet. I poured myself another cup of tea and sat on the couch. The storm had arrived exactly the way I knew it would. Loud, panicked, chaotic. Not because they missed me, but because the bills finally reached the people who were supposed to pay them. The phone buzzed again, then again. Then it rang so hard the entire table vibrated. I let it go to voicemail. A second later, the notification popped up. Isabella's voice cracked through the speaker. "Mom, please answer. The mortgage payment bounced. They're saying the account holder changed. Did you do this? Please, I'm begging you. Connor is screaming. I don't know what to do." Her breath shook between the words. I didn't say anything. I didn't even move. Another voicemail came in, angrier this time. "Connor, what the hell is going on? Why are all the bills suddenly in our name? This isn't funny. Fix it." Fix it. The entitlement in his voice didn't surprise me. It just confirmed something I had ignored for years. He never saw me as family, only as backup. I muted the phone and leaned back. I waited. It rang again, screen lighting up with Isabella's name. I let it ring. It rang again and again. My silence must have scared her because the next message came fast and shaky. "Mom, please. I'm trying to calm him down. Everything is falling apart. The electric bill is overdue, the water bill too. They're talking about fees. Why would you do this to us right now?" Right now. That part made me laugh, quietly and without joy. "Last night," she said, "don't come. Connor doesn't want you here." But now, right now, mattered because the bills landed where they belonged. I turned the phone face up and waited. It didn't take long. Another voicemail. Isabella's voice broke completely. "Mom, he's blaming me. He says this is all my fault. He says you're using money to control us. I'm scared. Please pick up." I closed my eyes for a second, not because I doubted my decision, but because I recognized the sound of someone finally facing the life they built with the wrong person. I opened my eyes and spoke softly to the quiet room. "You chose him. Now you see him." The phone rang again, an unknown number. I didn't answer. Then a text came in from Isabella. Mom, I didn't know he'd react like this. Please don't leave me alone in this. I can't get him to calm down. He says we need the money now. The word now was capitalized. That told me everything. Connor had never cared about me. He cared about my wallet. Another call, this time a long one. It rang for a full minute. I let it ring. When the voicemail came in, I listened. Connor again. You think you can walk away after all these years? After everything you set up? You created this system. You. And now you're backing out? Put the payments back or I swear. I stopped the message there. Threats don't move me. Not from him. Not from anyone. Another message from Isabella arrived, almost immediately. Mom, please ignore what he said. He's just angry. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just said what he wanted last night. I'm sorry. Please pick up. There it was, the slip, the truth. I just said what he wanted. I whispered, so you threw me out to keep him calm. The phone vibrated again. Another voicemail. This time, Isabella was sobbing so hard she could barely speak. Mom, I can't do this. Everything is hitting at once. Mortgage, gas, power. I didn't know they were this expensive. I feel sick. Connor is yelling and I can't think. Please, please call me. I need you. I rested my hand on my chest, not out of pain, out of clarity. She didn't need me. She needed my resources, and she never separated the two. I stood up, walked to the window, and watched the snow piling higher. The silence outside felt like a new beginning. The phone buzzed again. This time, Connor texted, "You're destroying this family." I shook my head. I typed one single line back. "I'm not destroying anything. I'm stepping out." I didn't wait for a reply. I didn't need one. Seconds later, Isabella's name lit up again. I let it ring. Then a new message dropped in. "Mom, if you don't help us, we will lose everything," I whispered. "Then face it. Together." They wanted a life without me. Now they were living it fully. No more training wheels, no more safety net, no more last-minute rescues. The meltdown wasn't my crisis. It wasn't my responsibility. It wasn't my life. I sat back down, picked up my tea, and took another slow sip. I had waited years for my daughter to grow up, and I realized she never had to, because I never let her. Another voicemail came in. Quiet. Soft. Barely audible. "Mom, please. I don't know what to do." For the first time all morning, I answered out loud, not to her, but to myself. "You start by handling what's yours." I turned the phone off. The storm had reached its peak, and for the first time in a decade, it wasn't raining on me. I turned my phone back on later that afternoon, knowing exactly what I would find. The moment the screen lit up, the messages came in so fast the notifications jammed. Connor, Isabella, unknown numbers, all stacked like a warning alarm. I didn't open anything yet. I walked to the kitchen, poured a glass of water, and took a slow drink. My hands were steady, my breathing calm, but everything around me was tight, thick, heavy. The storm had passed its first stage. The next one was always louder, and it arrived in seconds. A loud knock hit my front door, then another, then a third. Harder, sharper. I didn't move at first. I knew exactly who it was. "Mom, open the door!" Isabella's voice, already breaking. I set the glass down and walked toward the hallway. The knocking grew harder, desperate. "Mom, please, open the door! We need to talk!" Her voice carried panic, anger, fear, all tangled together. I unlocked the door and opened it halfway. Isabella stood on my porch with her coat half-zipped, hair messy, eyes swollen from crying. Snow stuck to her shoulders. She looked like she hadn't slept. Behind her, Connor paced on the walkway, jaw clenched, arms shaking from cold or rage. I couldn't tell which. Isabella stepped forward. "Mom, everything is falling apart." Her voice cracked in the middle of the sentence. I didn't answer. I didn't reach out. I didn't pull her inside. She kept talking, words spilling out fast. "They shut off the water this morning. The mortgage company called. The electric bill is overdue. The gas bill, too. We don't have money for all of it at once. Connor is losing it, and I don't know what to do."
Behind her, Connor barked, "Ask her why she did it. Don't sugarcoat anything." Isabella flinched. I looked at him. He couldn't look me in the eye. He snapped again. "Tell her. Tell her we need those payments back." I opened the door fully, but didn't invite them in.
Isabella wrung her hands. "Mom, please, I shouldn't have said what I said last night. I was stressed. We were arguing. Connor didn't mean to—" Connor cut in. "Just ask her to put the payments back, that's all. This is ridiculous. She knows we can't cover these bills." There it was, the truth, no pretending, no softness. They weren't here for me. They were here for the money. I spoke calmly. "You told me not to come for Christmas." Isabella's lip trembled. "I didn't mean—" I raised my hand slightly. She stopped talking. "You said your husband didn't want to see me," I said. "So I honored that." Connor scoffed. "This isn't about Christmas. This is about you cutting everything off without warning." I looked him straight in the eyes. "I don't owe you warning." His jaw locked. He took a step forward like he wanted to intimidate me. I didn't step back. Isabella turned quickly. "Connor, stop." He didn't stop. He pointed at me. "You're putting us in a crisis. We have no water, no gas, the mortgage is past due. This is abuse." I felt nothing. No fear, no guilt, no heat. "Pay your bills," I said quietly. Isabella's knees almost gave out. She held onto the railing. "Mom, we can't. Not all at once. We don't have enough this month. Connor hasn't been paid yet. My hours got cut. Please, just help us this time. Just this time." Just this time. The same line she had used for 10 years. I shook my head once. Connor exploded. "So that's it? You're going to stand there and watch us freeze? You think cutting everything will teach us something? You're ruining our lives." I answered evenly. "No, I'm giving you your own life back." Isabella wiped her face with her sleeves. "Mom, I'm begging you. I know I messed up. I know what I said last night hurt you. I'm sorry. Just please, please help us." Her voice broke so hard the words almost fell apart. For a second, 1 second, I saw the little girl she used to be, the one who came to me with scraped knees and whispered, "It hurts." But she wasn't that girl anymore. She was a grown woman standing on my porch, only because the safety net she abused was gone. "I can't keep solving problems you create," I said softly. She shook her head, crying harder. "So you're just going to leave us like this?" I answered, calm and clear. "I'm not leaving you. I'm leaving the role you forced me into." Connor stepped forward again. "Put the payments back, right now. I'm done playing nice." I held his stare. "I'm not afraid of you." He froze. I continued, "And your anger is not my responsibility." He stepped back, stunned. Isabella looked between us, shaking. "Mom, we can't survive without your help." I answered gently. "Then you learn to." It was the honest truth, the truth she had avoided, the truth he hated. Isabella's voice dropped to a whisper. "Please don't make us go home like this." I spoke quietly. "This is your home, your life, your marriage, your bills, your decisions." I placed my hand on the edge of the door. "You told me I wasn't wanted," I said. "Now you're living in a world where I listen." Before either of them could speak, I stepped back and closed the door. Not slammed, just closed. Their panic stayed on the porch. My peace stayed inside. I locked the door and whispered to myself, "They're cornered, but I'm finally free." Outside, I heard Isabella break down completely, and Connor curse the wind, the bills, the world. None of it was mine anymore. The morning after they stood crying and shouting on my porch, I woke up with a stillness I hadn't felt in years. No buzzing phone, no messages demanding help, no last-minute chaos, just quiet. I made myself a cup of hot cocoa and sat at the kitchen table. The silence wasn't heavy. It was clean. It felt like a door I had never opened before. For the first time in a decade, my day belonged to me. I pulled out a small notebook I hadn't touched in years. The cover was dusty. I wiped it clean and opened it to a blank page. I wrote one line: "Things I want to do for myself." I paused, letting the thought settle. Not things for Isabella, Not things for Connor. Not things they begged for. Mine. I tapped the pen once, then wrote, woodworking class. I had wanted to take one for years. I used to watch videos about carving, sanding, building shelves, but every time I thought about signing up, a crisis hit. A late bill, a broken car, a disconnected utility, a marriage fight they dragged me into. I pushed the notebook aside and opened my laptop. I searched for classes. Found one, beginner level, Tuesday and Thursday mornings. I clicked register before I could talk myself out of it. A confirmation email came instantly. I said quietly, "Good." I checked the clock. It wasn't even 9 a.m., and I had already done something for myself. The feeling was strange, light, almost unfamiliar. Not excitement, but relief. My phone buzzed once, a single vibration. I glanced at it but didn't reach for it. I didn't want my peace interrupted. Instead, I walked to the closet, pulled out my coat, and stepped outside. The air was cold but refreshing. The snow had settled overnight into smooth layers across the lawn. I took a slow breath, then another. Then I started walking, down the street, around the block. Past the small bakery I used to visit before my life became a series of emergencies. I decided to stop inside. The warmth hit me immediately, the smell of bread, the low hum of a radio, a few older women chatting at a corner table. I ordered a pastry and sat by the window. I hadn't done something this simple, this normal, for myself in so long that it felt almost new. While I ate, the door chimed behind me. A familiar voice said, "Irene?" I turned. Paul stood there, bundled in a coat, snow on his shoulders. His eyebrows lifted in surprise when he recognized me. "I haven't seen you in ages," he said. "It's been a while," I answered. He glanced at the empty chair across from me. "May I?" I nodded, and he sat. "You look calm today," he said. "I am," I replied. "That's good," he said. "Last year you looked tired, like the whole world was on your shoulders." I didn't deny it. It was. He studied me for a moment. "Not anymore?" "No," I said simply. He didn't press. He just smiled a little and took off his gloves. "So what brought you out this morning?" he asked. "I'm taking a woodworking class," I said. His eyebrows rose. "Really?" "Yes," he chuckled, impressed. "I always knew you had steady hands." I shrugged lightly. "I finally have time." "Well," he said, "if you ever want practice wood, I've got some scrap at my place. You're welcome to it." "Thank you," I said. "I might take you up on that." He gave me a warm nod. "It's good to see you living your life again." Living my life, not fixing someone else's. When I finished my pastry, we walked out together. He helped me step around a patch of ice, then waved as he crossed the street to his house. I stood there for a moment, looking around the neighborhood. Nothing had changed, but I had. I walked home slowly, enjoying every step. My phone buzzed again when I stepped inside. I set my keys down and finally picked it up. Isabella, of course. "Mom, please call me. Things are getting worse." I read it once, then turned the screen off, not out of cruelty, out of self-respect. I walked to the spare room, a room I had never used for anything because I was always too busy solving their problems. Today, I cleared the desk, wiped the shelves, swept the floor. This was going to be my workshop, my space, my life. By the afternoon, I had signed up for a second class, a quilting group that met every Friday. My week was filling up with things that belonged to me. As I sat down with my notebook again, I added more. Visit museum. Restore old picture frames. Read a book a week. Say no. The last one made me smile. My phone stayed quiet for a while. Then it buzzed again. "Mom, I'm scared. Please don't leave me alone." I pressed my hand flat on the notebook. I whispered, "You're not alone. You just don't have my wallet." I closed the notebook, stood up, and opened the blinds wider. The house felt brighter. My life felt lighter. For once, I wasn't waiting for someone to need me. I was choosing myself. I woke up the next morning to a vibration that didn't stop. My phone was face down on the nightstand, but I could hear the non-stop buzzing. I knew before touching it that something new had started. I picked it up. Notifications covered the screen. Facebook tags, messages, screenshots from neighbors, co-workers, cousins I hadn't heard from in years. And at the center of it all, a public post from Isabella. Her profile picture, her name, her words, all over my feed. I opened it. The first sentence hit like a slap. My mother cut us off right before Christmas and left us in a crisis. I kept reading. She stopped paying our mortgage without warning. She canceled every service, water, electric, internet, everything. She didn't care that we were struggling. She didn't care that it's Christmas. She just walked away and ruined our holiday. A picture was attached, their dark living room, a sink full of dishes, a flashlight on the counter. She ended with, "Please pray for us. We're going through hell because of her." Hundreds of comments were already there. She did what? How can a mother do that? On Christmas? That's evil. Some parents forget what love is. Poor Isabella. Stay strong. Your husband doesn't deserve this stress. I sat down at the edge of my bed. Not shocked, just disappointed. Isabella had never handled pressure well. When cornered, she ran to the nearest audience, and Facebook was the biggest audience she had. I scrolled. More comments kept pouring in. "You should sue her. She sounds toxic. You need to protect your family from people like that. No wonder Connor is stressed." I didn't reply. I didn't defend myself. I didn't write a word. I set the phone aside and went to make breakfast. The phone buzzed again. The sound followed me like a shadow. I ignored it until my tea finished steeping. Then I checked again. Isabella had posted a second update. For everyone asking, yes, I begged my mother to talk. She refused. She blocked us. She just shut the door in our faces. Blocked them. I had never blocked her. I had simply stopped responding. The comments exploded. What kind of mother does that? You deserve better. She's punishing you. She's jealous of your marriage. Cut her off for good. Another notification appeared, a tag from someone I didn't even know. It was a share of Isabella's post. Caption: "Stories like this break my heart. No one should suffer like this because of selfish parents." I shook my head. This wasn't the truth. This was theater, and Isabella was performing. My phone rang suddenly. I recognized the number. Clara, my old coworker. I picked up. "Hello?" "Irene, are you okay?" she asked. Her voice was sharp, concerned. "Did you see Isabella's post?" "I saw it." "Is any of it true?" "Some of it," I said. "Not the way she wrote it." Clara sighed. "People online are tearing into you. I wanted to check on you before I believed anything." "I'm fine," I said. "Thank you." "If you need anything, call me," she said. "And Irene, you don't owe strangers an explanation." "I know." I hung up. But the calls didn't stop. 2 from neighbors, 1 from my cousin, 4 messages from church members. Everyone wanted to know my side, but they were already forming opinions. That was the power of a public post. One story replaced the truth. By noon, Isabella had posted again. "My mother abandoned us because of one argument. She said she doesn't want to be needed. She turned her back on her own family." Another photo, Isabella crying in her car. The comments multiplied. "You poor thing. She doesn't deserve you. You're better off without her. You need to protect yourself and the baby." Baby? There was no baby. Connor must have added that part. I put the phone down. I went to my woodworking workspace and sanded a piece of wood until the edges were smooth. The rhythm helped drown out the noise. But when I returned to my phone, Isabella had posted a 4th time. This one was worse. "I grew up thinking my mom loved me. Now I see she only loved control." And underneath, "She ruined our Christmas." The comments turned aggressive. "She's a monster. She sounds narcissistic. Irene needs therapy. You should cut her off permanently. Call the police if she keeps harassing you." Harassing them? I hadn't contacted them once. My hands stayed steady. No shaking, no panic. This wasn't new. Isabella always needed an audience to validate her feelings. Connor encouraged it. Still, the volume of attention was suffocating. My phone buzzed again. Another tag. Someone wrote, "Moms like this destroy families." I stared at the screen for a long moment, then set it gently back down. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't surprised. This was the explosion that always happens when people used to being rescued finally hit the ground. I went back to my kitchen and poured myself water. I drank slowly, letting the cold settle me. Then I said out loud, "Let them talk." I hadn't said my side, not yet. And I wouldn't speak in anger. I would speak in fact. The truth didn't shout. It waited, and I had every screenshot, every voice message, every receipt. They wanted the world to watch? The world would, but not the way they expected. I walked to the kitchen, turned on the kettle, and let the phone buzz on the counter. I didn't rush. I didn't panic. I let the noise fill the room while I made tea the same way I always did. 1 spoon of cocoa powder, a little milk, hot water, slow stir. Only when the kettle clicked off did I pick up the phone. The first thing I saw was Isabella's latest post, her picture at the top, her dramatic caption beneath it. "My mother ruined our Christmas. She left us without water, gas, or power. She put us through hell and won't even talk to us." There were already hundreds of comments. "She's cruel. She sounds abusive. No mother should act like this. You poor thing. Stay strong." I didn't react. I didn't open the comment section. I didn't write anything back. Instead, I opened a folder I had created days earlier. Documentation. Every receipt, every voicemail, every screenshot, every cancellation confirmation. Everything I knew I might need someday. I scrolled through them slowly while my tea cooled. Each file reminded me of another moment I stepped in while they stepped back. The evidence didn't hurt me. It steadied me. My phone buzzed again. A message from Clara, my old coworker. "Irene, I don't want to assume anything, but have you seen what Isabella posted?" I typed back, "Yes," then set the phone down. I walked to the living room window. Outside, snow layered the sidewalk, untouched since yesterday. I watched a car drive past, the engine loud in the quiet morning, and let the calm settle. Then I returned to the table, unlocked my phone, opened Facebook, and clicked Create Post. Not dramatic, not emotional, just necessary. I typed, "Since our situation has been made public, the truth deserves clarity." Then I attached the first file, Isabella's original voice message, the one where she said, "Mom, don't come to Christmas. Connor doesn't want to see you." I listened to it once more before posting, her tone clear, cold, direct, not forced, not edited. I added one sentence below it. "This is what I received the night before I stopped payments." Then I hit post. I didn't refresh immediately. I took a sip of tea. When I finally checked the screen, reactions were pouring in. "What? She told you not to come?" That's not what she said online. She left that part out. More comments arrived every second. "This changes everything. She misled everyone." That message says it all. I didn't reply, not one word. Instead, I uploaded the second file, a full-screen recording of their mortgage account showing Isabella and Connor as primary residents, and me only as the payment method. Caption: "This is their house. These are their bills." Reactions hit faster this time. "You weren't responsible for any of this." "They lied. She made it sound like you threw them out." She's twisting the story. Then I uploaded a third file. Connor's angry text. "Put the payments back. I'm done playing nice." Caption: "This was sent after they told me not to attend Christmas." The comments exploded. "This man is dangerous. Manipulation at its finest. No wonder the mother stepped back. This is exactly what financial exploitation looks like." I set the phone down and breathed. Not relief, not victory, just truth, finally sitting in the open. My phone rang. "Isabella." I answered. She didn't even say hello. Her voice was tight, shaking. Why would you post that? Why would you put everything online like that? You went public first, I said. You shared your side. I shared facts. You're humiliating us. No, I said. You humiliated yourself when you told half the story. She went silent, but her breathing was uneven. You made everyone think I abandoned you, I continued. But you didn't tell them you told me to stay away. You didn't tell them the bills were yours. You didn't tell them Connor demanded my money. You're twisting. I posted your own words, I cut in. Your voice, your messages, your terms. She didn't speak. You made me the villain, I said calmly. You brought the world into this, and the world deserves the whole picture. I didn't think you'd actually do it, she whispered. That's the problem, I said. You underestimated me. She sniffed. Connor is furious. He says this is going to ruin us. Accountability is not ruin, I said. It's adulthood. She didn't reply. I heard her take a shaky breath. Mom, please take the posts down. People think we're lying. You left out the truth, I said. People are responding to that. She hesitated. I didn't mean for it to go so far. It always goes far when the truth is missing. She cried softly. Not dramatic, just tired. I can't talk right now, she finally said. I understand, I replied. Then I ended the call. I walked to the living room, opened the blinds, and let daylight fill the space. My phone kept buzzing on the table, comments multiplying by the second. I didn't look at them. I didn't need to. I had said exactly what needed to be said. Nothing extra, nothing emotional, just evidence. The morning after I posted the truth, my phone turned into a siren. I made breakfast first, one step at a time. Toast, eggs, hot cocoa. Then I sat at the table and finally opened my phone. The first thing I saw was a message from Clara. Irene, your posts are everywhere. Everyone's sharing them. Then another. People are calling out Isabella and Connor. Hard. I opened Facebook. Hundreds of comments under my 3 posts had turned into thousands. The first thread, Isabella's voice message, had people arguing in real time. She told her mother not to come. That's the trigger. She left that out on purpose. This is classic manipulation. She used sympathy to cover up the truth. The second thread, mortgage proof, was worse. If the house is in their name, why was the mom paying everything? She's been doing their job for them. They're adults. Step up. She didn't cut them off. She gave them their life back. The third thread, Connor's angry text, was the loudest. That guy is trouble. This man sounds controlling. No wonder the mother distanced herself. He demanded money, then blamed her? Nope. This guy is the problem. I scrolled slowly, not because it hurt, but because the clarity was sharp. People weren't confused. They weren't torn. They saw exactly what had been happening. Then I saw it. Isabella had deleted all her posts. Every single one. Her page was empty except for a short update. Taking a break from social media. No explanation, no apology, no correction, just escape. A few minutes later, I received a message from an old neighbor. Irene, I just want to say, we always saw how much you supported Isabella. I'm glad you finally stood up for yourself. Then another message. I didn't know Connor talked to you like that. That's awful. Then another. Good for you. Some kids forget parents are not banks. My phone rang suddenly, a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. Then another call. This one from a coworker Isabella used to complain about. I let it ring too. Then I checked the voicemails. The first was a man's voice, someone from their old apartment building. Irene, I don't know if you remember me, but I lived downstairs from them years ago. Connor always yelled at Isabella. I'm not surprised things escalated. I just wanted to let you know you didn't do anything wrong. The second voicemail was softer, one of Isabella's college friends. I never liked how Connor treated her. Maybe this is the wake-up call she needs. I'm sorry you're going through this. The third voicemail made me sit up straighter.
A woman I didn't know said, almost in a whisper, "He told everyone you were the reason they were struggling financially. But now I see it wasn't true. I hope you stay strong." A text arrived from a different number, someone named Rachel. "Isabella has lied about you for years. She told us you refused to help. I'm shocked seeing the receipts." Then another. Then,
Connor told people you were controlling, but he was the one controlling her. Then another. "We all saw him snap at her at gatherings. She always covered for him." The pattern spread like a crack through glass. People who once believed Isabella blindly were coming forward with pieces of the story I never had access to. They weren't defending her. They were exposing her lies and Connor's behavior. My phone buzzed again, this time with a different sort of message, a screenshot. It was from one of Connor's coworkers. "He didn't show up to work today. Everyone's talking about the posts. He's furious." I set the phone down for a moment and rubbed the bridge of my nose, not out of stress, out of recognition. This wasn't just fallout. This was consequence finally landing in the right place. I checked my notifications again. More messages. A longtime neighbor wrote, "Irene, you always kept things private, but they pushed you too far. I'm glad you finally said something." Another, "You're a good mother. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Another, "Adults who expect parents to pay their bills forever need a reality check." My phone buzzed again, this time with a message from Isabella. A single line. "Mom, how could you do this to me?" I stared at the words, then typed, "This is the truth, nothing more." She responded instantly. "Everyone is calling me a liar. People at work, my friends, even our neighbor messaged me. You're ruining my reputation." I replied, "You wrote the story first." She didn't answer for a minute. Then, "Connor says you're trying to destroy us." I typed, "Connor is responsible for his own behavior." Another pause. Then, "People are posting about him. He's furious. He says you humiliated him publicly." I didn't hesitate. "He humiliated himself." She stopped responding. For a moment, the house was completely still. No buzzing, no ringing, no shouting from the porch, just a pause in the chaos. Then one last message came in, not from Isabella, from Connor. "You've ruined everything. I won't forget this." I put the phone down. Not afraid, not shaken, just done. I whispered, "You started the fire. I stopped fueling it." The chain reaction was complete. Their lies collapsed. Their masks slipped. Their world shook. And for once, mine didn't. The day after everything exploded online, I woke up to a house that finally sounded like mine. No buzzing phone, no knocking at the door, no shouting from the porch. Just quiet. I stayed in bed for a few minutes, letting the silence settle. It didn't feel empty. It felt earned. I got up, put on slippers, and made cocoa in the kitchen. The routine felt steadier than anything I'd done in years. No rush, no obligations. No one waiting for me to solve another crisis. I checked my phone once. 5 missed calls from Isabella. 2 from unknown numbers. No messages from Connor. I locked the screen and set it upside down. I wasn't avoiding them. I was choosing where my energy went. I sat at the table and took slow sips. The warmth helped steady the space inside me that used to tense up every time her name appeared on my phone. After breakfast, I walked to the spare room, the new workspace I had cleared for my woodworking class. The sawdust smell from yesterday's sanding still lingered, clean and sharp. I opened the window a little, letting cold air drift in. I spent the next hour organizing tools, marking shelves that needed fixing, sorting wood pieces by size. Small tasks, but they kept my mind focused on something that belonged entirely to me. The phone buzzed again in the kitchen. I didn't go check it. Instead, I pulled out a small plank and sanded the edges. Long strokes, even pressure. The kind of work that doesn't demand anything except presence. No arguments, no panic, no blame. When I finished, I wiped the table clean, stretched my back, and went to the living room. I sat on the couch, pulled a blanket over my legs, and looked out the window at the snow settling quietly across the lawn. For years, I thought peace required fixing other people. Today, peace simply required distance. My phone buzzed again. I finally picked it up. A single message from Isabella. "Mom, please talk to me." Just one message. Anything. I stared at the words. She wasn't angry now, not defensive, not dramatic, just lost. But I didn't answer. Not yet. She needed the silence more than she needed my voice. She needed space to sit with the truth she finally couldn't escape. Until she could speak without blame, without twisting facts, without Connor's voice behind hers, anything I said would become fuel for more chaos. I placed the phone face down again. Around noon, I made myself a small lunch and ate it slowly. No interruptions, no obligations, just a meal. The simple normality felt like a luxury. Afterward, I took a short nap on the couch. A deep one, the kind where your body finally trusts that it won't be startled awake by someone else's crisis. I slept for almost an hour. When I woke, the house was still quiet. It had been a long time since I slept during the day, longer than I wanted to admit. I sat up, stretched, and whispered to myself, this is what calm feels like, calm. And later, I read a few chapters of a book I started years ago, but never finished because life kept interrupting me. Today, I finished the chapter. No one needed me halfway through it. By evening, the sky outside had turned a soft gray, and the house lights made the rooms look warmer than they had in a long time. My phone buzzed once more. I checked it without urgency. Another message from Isabella. "Mom, I'm sorry." That was all. No excuses, no blame, no rewriting, just 2 words. I didn't answer. Not out of punishment, but because apologies mean more when they're not rushed into a response. I set the phone down, turned off the lights, and walked to my bedroom. I changed into warm pajamas, got under the covers, and felt my body relax in a way I didn't think was possible anymore. 3 days passed without a single call from Connor, but Isabella called every morning, every afternoon, every night. I didn't answer, not because I enjoyed the silence, but because she needed it to hear her own life without my voice cushioning the fall. On the 4th evening, snow began falling harder, thick flakes, fast, the kind that make roads slick and streets disappear. I closed my blinds early and made cocoa, planning a quiet night. Then, around 9:30 p.m., my phone rang again. Isabella. I let it ring. 1 minute later, a voicemail notification. I didn't open it. Another call. Another voicemail. I set the phone aside and curled under a blanket on the couch. I'd learned to let my evenings belong to me, not to crisis. But at 10:12 p.m., my doorbell rang. Not a polite press, a desperate one. I sat up slowly, listening. A second ring, then pounding. Not violent, but panicked. I stood, walked to the hallway, and looked through the peephole. Isabella. Her hair was wet from snow, her coat unzipped, her eyes red, swollen, frantic. She held a small overnight bag like it was the only thing keeping her upright. I opened the door halfway. She didn't wait. She collapsed into my arms with a sound I hadn't heard from her since she was a child. A sharp, broken sob. "Mom, please. I didn't know where else to go." Her voice cracked in the middle, the kind of break that comes after days of holding everything together with shaking hands. I stepped back and let her inside. She dropped the bag near the door and covered her face with both hands, sobbing so hard her shoulders shook. I didn't touch her. Not yet. "Sit down," I said softly. She nodded and moved to the couch, sinking into it like her body finally gave up the fight. For a long moment, she couldn't talk. She just cried. Quietly at first, then louder, then back to quiet. I stood across the room and let her take the time she needed. When she finally looked up, her voice barely came out. "It's bad, Mom." I didn't respond. I waited. She wiped her nose with her sleeve. "Connor lost it when he saw the comments. He kept saying it was all your fault. He punched a hole in the wall. He threw his phone. He screamed at me for hours." I stayed still. She went on, voice shaking. "He said I ruined his life. He said I humiliated him. He said I should fix it. But I can't fix anything anymore. I don't have money. I don't have control. I don't even have him. Her voice broke again. I left, Mom. I walked out. I grabbed my bag and drove. I didn't even put on socks. I just ran. She looked at the window, where snow hit the glass in heavy bursts. I drove 4 hours, she whispered. I didn't think I would make it. The roads were ice. My hands are still shaking. I asked quietly, "Where is Connor now?" She shook her head. "I don't know. I blocked him. I couldn't take one more second." Her breathing steadied for one brief moment before collapsing again. "I'm sorry," she said suddenly, the words tumbling out like she had been holding them in her mouth for days. "Mom, I'm so sorry. For everything. For the posts. For the way I talked to you. For letting him tell me what to say. I wasn't thinking. I wasn't myself." I nodded once. Not approval, not dismissal, just acknowledgement. Her eyes filled again. "I hurt you. I chose him over you. I said things I didn't mean and let him treat you like you were nothing, and you never deserved that." She leaned forward, elbows on her knees, hands clasped. "I know I don't get to ask for anything," she said. "I know I destroyed the trust between us, but I didn't know where else to go. I needed my mom." That part hit something deep, not emotional, but honest. I sat down in the chair across from her, close enough to be present, far enough to keep boundaries intact. "Look at me," I said. She lifted her head slowly. "You left because you were scared," I said. "Not because you chose me." She swallowed. "I know." "And you're here now because you ran out of places to fall," I added. "Not because you suddenly understood everything." Her lips trembled. She didn't argue. I continued, tone steady. "But you came on your own, and that matters." Her chin dropped to her chest. New tears fell fast. "I'm sorry, Mom," she whispered again. "I'm so sorry." I let a few seconds pass before speaking. "What happened between you and Connor?" Her voice cracked. "He said I embarrassed him. He said you turned the internet against him. He blamed me for all of it. He said I should have controlled you." I raised an eyebrow slightly. "Controlled me?" "Yes." Her voice broke completely. "And when I said I couldn't, he said I was useless." There it was. The truth she had been avoiding for years. She wasn't just manipulated. She was breaking under his weight. "Mom," she said suddenly, gripping her knees, "I know I messed up. I know I let him drive a wedge between us. I know I made choices that hurt you, but I can't go back there. I can't live like that anymore." Her breathing turned uneven again. "I don't want him. I don't want that life. I just want to feel safe, even for one night." I stood up and walked to the kitchen. I made cocoa, 1 cup for her, 1 for me. When I came back, she took the mug with both hands like she needed it to stay upright. I sat in the chair again. "You can stay tonight," I said. "But tomorrow we talk, honestly, all of it. No excuses, no half-stories." She nodded quickly, tears streaking down her face. "Yes, anything. I'll tell you everything." I watched her for a moment, not angry, not forgiving, just seeing her clearly. "Get some rest," I said. "We'll talk in the morning." She curled into the couch, still shaking, still crying softly, exhaustion finally pulling her under. I turned off the lights, locked the door, and stood for a moment in the hallway. I woke up early the next morning. For a second I forgot Isabella was in the living room. The house was so quiet I thought she might have left before sunrise. But when I stepped into the hallway, I saw her curled on the couch, wrapped in the blanket I gave her, breathing slowly. Not crying, just resting. I went to the kitchen and started a pot of hot cocoa. The smell filled the house. When she heard the spoon clink against the mug, she sat up, hair messy, eyes tired but calmer than last night. "Morning," she said, voice small. "Morning," I replied. She looked down at her hands. "I didn't sleep much." "I saw." She took a breath. "Thank you for letting me stay." I didn't answer right away. I placed a mug in front of her. She held it with both hands, warming her fingers. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then I sat across from her. "Talk," I said. "Everything." She nodded, her eyes filled, but the tears didn't fall yet. "Connor called all night," she said quietly. I didn't pick up. He sent messages, angry ones. Then, the kind that sound like apologies but aren't. I didn't interrupt. He said he lost control because of you. He said everything blew up because you embarrassed him. He said I should convince you to delete the posts. She looked up. I didn't answer him, she continued. For the first time since we met, I didn't answer. That was something. She took a shaky breath. I know what I posted about you was wrong. I know it wasn't fair. I let him decide the story before I even thought about what it meant. And when you defended yourself, he blamed me for not stopping you. Another breath. Then the truth. He's not who I thought he was, Mom. I didn't flinch. She needed to say this out loud without me guiding her. He's angry all the time, she whispered. At work, at bills, at small things, at me. He blames everyone. He twists things so fast I don't even realize it until I'm crying. The tears finally fell. I thought he just needed support. I thought I was helping him, but I wasn't helping anyone. I was losing myself. She rubbed her eyes. And I was losing you. Silence filled the room. Not heavy. Honest. I said, You hurt me. She nodded quickly. I know. I was wrong. I said things I didn't mean. I let him push me into pushing you away. I told you not to come for Christmas like it didn't matter. But it did. It mattered to you, and now I see that. She swallowed hard. Mom, I'm sorry. Her apology wasn't rushed, wasn't defensive, wasn't wrapped in excuses. It was simple and real. I let a few seconds pass before responding. You shouldn't have said what you said, I told her. You shouldn't have made me the villain so the internet would pity you. You shouldn't have expected me to pay for the life you refused to manage. She nodded again, tears streaming. But, I added, you came here, not for money, not for bills, not to ask me to fix anything. She looked up, eyes red. You came because you broke, I said, and you finally understood I can't carry you anymore. A long, trembling breath left her chest. I don't want you to carry me, she whispered. I want to fix it. I want to take responsibility. I want to grow up. That was the moment I had waited 10 years to hear. I stood and walked to the living room window. Snow covered the yard like a soft blanket, and the sky was pale with early winter light. The house looked still, ready. Come here, I said. She joined me at the window. We rebuild with honesty, I said. Not with money, not with excuses, not with panic. She nodded slowly. And we rebuild with boundaries, I added. I will support you emotionally. I will not support you financially. Her breath shook, but she didn't argue. I understand, she said softly, and I accept it. That mattered more than anything she said last night. I walked to the closet and pulled out the Christmas ornament box. Her eyes widened. Can we? She asked. If you want, I said. We carried the box to the living room. I opened the lid, and the smell of old pine and stored decorations drifted out. She reached for one ornament first, a glass one she made when she was 12. Dad helped me paint this, she whispered. Yes, I said, he did. For the first time in years, she smiled. Not wide, not forced, just small and real. We hung the first ornament, then the second, then a few lights, not too many, not like old years, just enough for a beginning. When we finished, she looked at the tree and let out a breath that sounded like release. Mom, she said quietly, thank you for letting me come home. This is a visit, I corrected, not a return. She nodded. I know. And tomorrow, I said, you decide what your new life looks like, not what Connor wants, not what panic creates, what you want. She placed her hand over her heart and nodded again. "I will," she said. "I promise."
I poured 2 cups of cocoa and handed her one. We sat on the couch, facing the small tree with its soft, warm lights. After a while, she leaned her head on the back of the couch, not on my shoulder, not clinging, just sitting near me like an adult making a choice. It felt right. Not perfect, not repaired, but real. Before bed, she whispered, "I love you, Mom." I looked at her. "I love you too." Then I added, "And loving you means teaching you how to stand, not carrying you when you fall." She nodded. Tears fell silent, but they weren't desperate anymore. This Christmas wasn't the one I expected. It was better. It was honest. It was ours.
Thank you for listening to my story. It wasn't easy to live and it wasn't easy to tell. But if you stayed until the end, I'm grateful you spent this time with me. If this story meant something to you, feel free to subscribe to Grandma Life Stories. It helps the channel grow, and it lets me keep sharing these real, quiet moments of strength, healing, and family truth. Take care of yourself today. Take care of your heart, and I'll see you in the next story.